What's up, everyone, and welcome to Project XTalk, an Xbox podcast, episode number 157, presented by Save the Game Media. I'm your host, Kevin, and on today's episode, we're recapping the Xbox Partner Preview. The financials from Xbox this quarter are looking very interesting. Alan Wake 2 is fastly approaching, and we got the review roundup, and Xbox is doing some reorganization. But before we get to all that and more, let me introduce my co-host, who was wearing a different shirt just mere minutes ago. Spoilers. JamPackSam, how you doing, buddy?
It's true. I'm doing well. Have the black shirt on, no longer a white shirt. I told Kevin before the show, don't like myself in white on camera. So we, black is very slimming, very sleek, matches the aesthetic. But yeah, man, doing good. Have not had a lot of time this week to play games because there's been so much gaming news. But yeah, man, once again, what a time to be alive and enjoy video games.
What a time to be alive. Specifically, I was freaking out this morning when those Alan Wake 2 reviews that we'll talk about came out, but I'm like, this year doesn't stop.
Yeah, I think this is finally the last really big one beyond maybe Avatar, I think, but I think we're like winding down on the things that have the potential to be 9s and 10s.
Bro, Super Mario RPG remakes coming out. What are you talking about?
It's true. I mean, you kid, but like I forget about that one. That's it. That's the victim of 2023. Like you've got so many of those games that are like that, but they just keep on coming.
You know who the real victim is, and this is a side tangent, but I saw that Sonic Superstars sold 4,000 copies in Japan.
That is painful.
And I was like, I feel so bad.
That's really bad.
Yeah.
It's just, they keep the games keep coming, and then you throw Sonic in there, and it's like, well, I don't know if he's getting my money this week.
Poor Sonic. But let's not talk about Sonic for now. We'll talk about him later in the show because this is Project XTalk. We're live every Thursday right here on YouTube at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. If you can't catch us live, we post every Friday morning on your favorite audio platform of choice. While you're over there, make sure to drop us that 5-star review, whether it's Apple, Spotify, gets us in that algorithm, boosts us. I can see impressions now on Spotify. We're growing. I see the new followers every time. So thank you, everyone. Thank you if you're a new listener. We appreciate you hanging out with us. Before we get into the Patreon pitch, this might be our last chance. I'm not sure if we're doing a show next week because Extra Life is happening. Next Thursday, I will be in Rome, New York, hanging out with other fellow members of Save the Game Media and friends of the show, Carpool Gaming. We're going to be doing a whole bunch of collabing and playing games, having fun, raising money for charity. It's a few days, but game day is on Saturday. I would really love if everyone listening or watching can tune into our 25-hour live stream. If you haven't donated, donate. The link is down below. I finally updated our page with all the prizes you can win. So you got that PS5 Spider-Man 2 Collector's Edition. All 19 inches of Venom can be yours. $10 entry for these prizes. By the way, if you don't want that, I'm giving away a $60 gift card to a platform of your choice. And then if you want to save a little more money, I'm giving away spots on my Nintendo Switch family plan. So if you want that, save you $35 a year. But we have some stretch goals. So if you hit certain milestones, we'll give away another gift card. And then if you really get us to our stretch goal of $2,000 raised, I'll give away a Series S.
Ooh,
I'll give away a Series S for you.
Whoa.
Not for you, Sam, but you know, for
collective you,
the collective you, yeah. So if all that sounds interesting, make sure to donate now or on game day. Really appreciate everyone showing up for that. And if you want to support us further, get early access to Save the Game Media content, exclusive bonus post shows, and the host versus host Jeopardy games we do once a quarter, like we're going to be doing this weekend. Head over to patreon.com/SaveTheGameMedia. Choose the tier right for you, like our current Patreon supporters. So thank you to Bucky Blue, Fabulous Brianna, Brianna's mom, Brianna's brother, Brianna's wife, Nikolai Knight, Cypher Primus, Brendan Myers, Marcus O'Neill, Lillian, Mimi J, The Snack Network, David Hotright, who's in the chat. Shout out, David. Dave Harp, the Xbox Expansion Pass, Alpaca Tom, and Lee Navarro. Thank you for your support. We appreciate each and every one of you. Whew. I got the housekeeping out of the way. It's 80 degrees in New York for some reason right now. I'm not sure what's going on.
Yep. We have 90 coming this weekend, I think, in North Carolina. So I've done the thing where I've moved my closet back into winter mode. So now I have to dig into the bins and move back into summer mode for like 3 days. And then it goes down to 55. But I'm looking forward to them. Let me tell you, Kevin, in the morning, in the middle of fall, it's a Saturday morning, potentially. You wake up. 30, 40 degrees, hot cup of coffee and or other warm liquid, digging into a game, dude, nothing like it. That's the best. Feels so good. This is what I call Tony Hawk weather whenever we're in the 40s and 50s season. I love that.
I do enjoy it. Not when it gets super cold, but right now is perfect. Like
Oh,
if we
yeah.
could have this 40s and 70s in the evening, that'd be great. But
Oh, yeah.
Sam, enough about the weather. Let's jump into what have you been playing, my friend?
I am disappointed in myself. I've just got to come out and say it. And I'm not disappointed in the way I'm spending my time, but we're living in this season of Alan Wake 2. We're living in the season of Assassin's Creed Mirage, which I did finish, but just as an example, throwing stuff out there. The Crew Motorfest. You've got all of these other games that have come out month after month. And here I find myself playing Halo Infinite Season 5 and Battlefield 2042 Season 6. I have bought both of these battle passes, and I'm stuck back on these grinds because I cannot escape this live service life that I'm living. It just keeps on dragging me back in.
The life service, as you just call it. I mean, listen, if it's fun, what does it matter? I mean, your
Yeah.
backlog is never gonna get
Yeah.
away from you. But
Yeah, I mean, it's one of, so like last week I had planned on playing Alan Wake Remastered to prepare for Alan Wake 2. And
mhm.
then on a whim, I was like, okay, Battlefield 2042 Season 6, new map looks solid. Let's go ahead and give it a shot. Here I find myself every night for the past 5 or 6 days spending like 2 or 3 hours just playing the same exact map. They have a playlist that's just rotating the new map, and I'm grinding this battle pass. They've got the classic challenges where it's like you got to get hip fire kills with an assault rifle, like the old school Call of Duties and
Mhm.
things like that. So it's more of like a change your play style and kind of push you out of your comfort zone. But I've been loving the new season of Battlefield. Very fun stuff.
You could have beaten Alan Wake in those 2 to 3 hours
You could
for
have.
5. It's not a very long game.
No, no,
Just
and I know that, and I want to do it this weekend. I'm off tomorrow, so I might have a
okay.
little bit of time in the evening. So I might play some Alan Wake Remastered, and then I might pick up Alan Wake 2 once I finish Remastered because I want to go back through it. But yeah, like these once again, I've got weeklies again in Halo Infinite. I've got to get the weeklies done. Kevin, how can I sleep at night if I don't have this virtual keychain on
You
my
just
pistol?
I picture you laying there staring up at the ceiling, being like, I gotta get 4 more headshots, like the weekly
Yeah,
with my BR.
yeah, that's what happened. There was one time like 2 years ago, my girlfriend, now fiance, was over. We were both up until 6 a.m. because I could not finish the weekly missions and the battle pass was coming to an end. And you couldn't like I wanted to finish it. I wanted to grind it. These
Mhm,
things have a
mhm,
grip on me. They have a grip on me. David's laughing in the chat. He says virtual keychain, LOL.
mhm.
Listen, this is a serious thing. I'm being very serious right now. But yeah, I'm hoping to get back to real games, quote unquote, pretty soon. But yeah, the live service games have me hooked.
Each their own, man. I'm glad as long as you're having fun. Like I said,
Oh
I'm
yeah.
glad and from everything I've heard, these seasons are pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah,
If
no,
you
they're great.
if you don't feel like playing Alan Wake, I think it was Luke was saying the Fortnite Alan Wake thing is pretty dope. If you want to just hop in
Yeah.
there and do whatever that is.
Yeah, no, I think I'm gonna go. I want the full experience. I don't want the Fortnite recap. I think I'm good there. The chat is
Okay.
mocking me. I don't appreciate you. Just kidding. I appreciate you all, but yeah.
This armor is important. I can't look like a default Dan on Battlefield,
Facts.
Mom.
Facts. I have to have the cool skins and I have to pay my $10 fee to play this game for the 2 weeks I'm probably going to get back into it. So
I've
I'm part of the
never
problem.
I've never heard the term default Dan.
I like it. I like it. I appreciate it.
Sometimes Logan comes out with some things, and I'm just like, where? I know he lives on the West Coast, right? Maybe it's West Coast slang over there. Maybe that's how they talk. Oh, I just came up with it. Never mind.
The
He's a he's,
creativity flows from this guy.
he's a visionary.
Mhm.
Well, as opposed to you, Sam, I have completed multiple games this week. So I rolled credits on Trails in the Sky 3 finally. I was a lot closer to the end than I thought. My RG ally came in clutch with that. So I have now caught up on all 10 localized Trails games over the course of the last 2-ish year, 18 months or so since I started playing this series. And people were always like, they're 40 to 100-hour JRPGs. I was like, I beat them all in under 30, all right? Not collectively, but individually.
Yeah.
Not much to say there. Good game, but good game.
Nice.
The one I do want to talk about, Sonic Superstars. I said we get back to some Sonic. I have also beat Sonic Superstars.
So what are the thoughts? How are we feeling?
I think The best way to talk about Sonic Superstars is to also talk about the other game I was playing, Mario Wonder, which
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
only 2 hours into Mario Wonder. I'm in the second world. So I did prioritize Sonic because I tried playing Sonic with my girlfriend. I was like, these are two co-op games. You like 2D platformers. So those are like the only things you'll play. Um, she did not like it. She
Hmm.
is not a Sonic fan. She says it was too hectic, kind of gave her some like anxiety, just like how fast everything was
I
going.
can see that. Yeah.
And I will say that while I think Sonic Superstars is a fun game, the disparity in quality between this and Mario Wonder is so apparent when you play them at the same time.
Yeah.
One feels such like Sonic is here and then Mario's just way up here, right? Like
Yeah.
I don't know how they could feel so different when they're like, oh, they're 2D games, but Mario just knocks out of the park. I have loved every minute with that game. It's colorful, it's beautiful, and Sonic is fun. I think there's some good levels in here. I think there's some bad levels in here. There's a few where I was
Mm,
like, I don't want to be doing this anymore. And I feel like the levels were longer than normal Sonic games. Like some of them took me like 8 to 10 minutes to finish. And I'm
yeah.
like, when is this gonna end?
Yeah.
Um, the final boss is pretty rough. He took me like, I don't know, 12 tries to beat, which after you figure out his pattern, it was more of a just getting the right timing for certain things. But I beat it. It's good. You unlock something afterwards that definitely I was like, that's not worth it for me to continue playing this game. So
Yeah.
I've moved on from Sonic Superstars. Good game. Already sold it. So my
Oh,
total net spend was $18 to play this 4 hour experience. Not bad.
that's
Not
not
bad.
bad. Yeah. Not bad at all. No. Yeah. I think that for me, Sonic in general has always been a game where when I'm playing a platformer, I want to feel like I can kind of take my time and explore the levels. And Sonic at its core is pushing you to like not speed run, but it's you got to go fast. Like that's the whole Sonic thing. And so I've never really vibed with the franchise series, whatever you want to call it overall. But I will say on the Super Mario Bros. Wonder side, or yeah, it's Bros Wonder, right? Not Super Mario Wonder. It's Bros.
It's yeah, Super Mario Bros. Wonder,
Okay.
I think.
I don't know. Xbox show. I don't know what I'm talking about here. But
Mario Wonder.
either way, in Wonder, I played it. I played the demo at GameStop or the Target demo that they've got
Hmm.
laid out there. And so the one thing that I noticed about Wonder is the same thing that I noticed about New Super Mario Bros. Back in the day when it was on the DS, I think, where it's just always such a polished game from
Hmm.
Nintendo and it feels so complete. And I've seen a lot of other people talking about how it's feature complete. It feels really well made. And you can tell a lot of effort's gone into this 2D platformer from Nintendo in a world where 3D platformers are traditionally what you would kind of expect after having things like Galaxy or Odyssey come out. They put that same amount of care into it. So, yeah, putting a fully fleshed out Nintendo project up alongside a new Sonic game, it's yeah, you're just putting it against like Five Guys and McDonald's, where you're like they're both burgers, but man, I'll take that Five Guys any day of the week.
You know what I will say as well is I played Sonic on the Switch as well. Don't play it on the Switch.
Ooh,
It
yeah,
looks pretty bad, like resolution wise. Like the characters look blurry when they're stretched out to my 4K TV as opposed
yeah,
to when they're in handheld. I was like, it looks good here, but that's just like a Switch problem in general, to be honest. Like it, I had to change the whole like screen size on my OLED back there. It's a whole thing. So loading times and some frame rate issues as well. The one thing Sonic does better than Mario, I will say this: each character plays differently. And I would like that in Mario. Like I went into Mario thinking we were getting kind of the old school, like Mario 2, 3, where like Peach could fly or like Luigi would jump higher. But no, every character is exactly the same in Mario. Meanwhile, you got Sonic where Knuckles can glide, he can climb walls. Amy has a double jump and a hammer attack. So she like if she's jumping, she can't get hurt no matter where she lands. So that's kind of like the easy mode character. And then Tails, I didn't play as Tails because why would I play as Tails? But I
dang,
assume he can fly. I assume he can fly.
yeah, safe
Yeah,
bet,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. So I think that's a good thing. But anyone interested, just maybe wait for a sale on Sonic Superstars. That's all
yeah.
I'm gonna say.
Black Friday coming up, month
Black,
away.
Black Friday coming up. But if there's nothing else you want to talk about, let's jump into our first news story. Xbox. announced a brand new showcase earlier this week called the Partner Preview, and it actually premiered yesterday. So we're going to do a recap of the Xbox Partner Preview, give our thoughts. This is an event focused on third-party and indie games, is how they marketed it, and this is what they delivered. There were no first-party surprises here, okay? So nobody going in thinking, I did, well, I want to say, that's a good point. Overall, like before we can get into the game by game, what were your impressions of the partner preview? Because for me, I thought they set expectations and they ultimately delivered what I thought was like not anything amazing, but what they said they were going to give and what I expected them to give.
Yeah, I mean, it came out of left field. I don't think anybody really expected an Xbox event at the end of October. And even then, it's fleshing out their repertoire of events a little bit more. Like we've got the summer showcase, we've got the ID at Xbox event that's going on. Then we have the new one, the developer direct, where Hi Fi Rush was shown off. And now we have the partner preview. And so the question is, will these continue? For this to be the first one, there was enough here that I think warranted a show, especially with things like Metal Gear Solid that we'll get into, like those big hitters that are coming out, kind of hitting the core gaming community, really kind of warranted this thing existing. And then some cool stuff as well. And we'll get into the breakdown. But overall, I think I gave it a 7.5 out of 10 on
Mhm.
some social media platform out there, Threads or Twitter or whatever. We were talking back and forth about it with a couple of different people, and it had, like you said, enough meat there to kind of satisfy. But I do think that in a world where we didn't have all of the games that just came out, a partner preview could have been stronger in like August per se, or maybe like July if it had had Immortals of Avium thrown in there as another marketing hit for that or something.
Mhm.
But for what we have, when we have it, I think there was a lot here to really enjoy.
Yeah, I think I rated it a B on one of those like Twitter polls where I think it was might have been Jeff Keighley. He always does that. And I'm like, this was a solid show, in my opinion. So let's actually get into it and we can go, we'll go trailer by trailer because it started with Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. And I wrote down Ichiban rides a dolphin to Dondoko Island. And I was like, what is happening? Because this is a Kevin experience, right? Like I have this game pre-ordered, right? I'm super excited for this. Turns out they put Animal Crossing into Yakuza is the entirety of this trailer. You get an island, you get to build an island, you get to farm on the island, you have to defend the island from thugs coming on. Absolutely ridiculous nonsense going on. Sam, what are you thinking of Like a Dragon New Horizons?
It wasn't for me before. It's not for me now. I also like the Like a Dragon New Horizons. That's very good. I
Eh,
appreciate that. But it's just I don't hate Yakuza, but it's really not my thing. And if you came to me and said, "Hey Sam, what's one thing we could say to you to make you want to play this game less?" I would say put Animal Crossing in it. And lo and behold, my interest is plummeted even more. But this isn't a game for me. Like you
mhm.
said, this is a Kevin game. This is not a Sam game. So it definitely looks like it's going to bring a whole lot of game. Like this is literally just a side section of the game itself. So yeah, I mean it was cool to see it for the fans out there. Not for me, did not grab me, but it's cool to see.
There is a way back when we started X Talk, probably 100 episodes ago now. I am famous for saying Animal Crossing is a stupid effing game for stupid effing babies because
Whoa.
I've listen. I just don't get Animal Crossing. Why would I want to do chores in a video game? Like, oh, I'm gonna come home, relax by doing work. Like,
It's the same draw of Sims where like you
I
come
don't
home
get
from
that
work.
either.
Yeah, like you come home from work and you've got your house that you pay rent in, and then you sit down at your computer that you've bought to be a sim that goes to work, pays rent, or I don't know, do you pay rent in Sims? I have no idea. But you know what I mean? It's a life sim thing. So Animal Crossing's like a cute version of that, I guess. But my biggest enjoyment of Animal Crossing has been whenever in the middle of COVID, Doom Guy and Isabella did the crossover event
Hmm.
because they both released on the same day. That was pinnacle Animal Crossing for yours truly. I really enjoyed that.
Also, if you like Animal Crossing, that's completely fine. I was just, just being me.
Tell them how you feel. It's not
Yeah,
fine. It's fun to
yeah.
be honest.
It's fine for you. It's fine for you. Not for me. Yeah. So I, my hope is this isn't required for anything because in Yakuza Like a Dragon, the previous game, there was a business management sim game in there where you'd play that and you'd get like ultimate moves and crazy weapons and like a secret character. I'm hoping that makes a return, and this isn't like the substitute, like here's the mini game you get to play instead to unlock all this cool stuff, because I don't want to do any of this. I don't want to
Yeah.
catch bugs.
Yeah, I hope not. I like that a lot of games these days are kind of making platinum and, getting all of your gamer score very achievable. Thinking about Spider-Man 2, for example, that's the one that came to mind where you don't have to spend 100 hours and do every single little side thing to get the completion. You can just kind of mainline the game. Will Yakuza do that? You would probably know more than me. I don't know. It seems like from the outsider's perspective looking in, they're going to make you do a whole bunch of things you don't want to do to get this completion.
Yeah, I missed one achievement in the last one because it was like, do the true final dungeon. I'm like, but I just did the true final dungeon. Why is there another
Yeah.
true? Like, it's crazy. Speaking of Spider-Man, though, shout out. We got a review discussion and spoiler cast for Spider-Man 2 going live tomorrow or today, depending on when you're listening to this. Kyle and the other Sam from No Limits both got the platinum over the weekend, so go check that out. They'll be talking all about that tomorrow. Next up, Future Lab and Thunderful are bringing us a game called Akaro Will Not Die. This is a roguelite action game from the looks of it. I thought the aesthetic really cool, but as soon as I learned in the Xbox Wire write-up that it was a roguelite style game, I'm out, unfortunately.
I don't know. This one kind of grabbed me a little bit. I can't remember if this is a Game Pass joint or not,
I
but
don't think so, but Thunderful did come out today, I think, and say that they were like looking to do more Game Pass deals, so maybe.
I could see this being a really good Game Pass drop, kind of like Jasant in a couple of weeks or a couple of days. I think this could kind of fit that need. A couple of interesting things about this one. It's the side project that they're working on behind Power Wash Simulator. And if you told me these were the same developers, I would
Yeah.
not ever think that. But super cool there. And I think beyond that, this is a spiritual successor to the Velocity games that were big on PlayStation. So, or at least that's where I know them from. So, as somebody who likes that fast paced kind of action stuff, I'll probably either pick it up on a sale or if it lands in Game Pass, might give it a shot for a couple of hours. But yeah, I mean, it's cool to see. And again, super weird because they're making Power Wash Sim and then this. I don't know where that came from.
The aesthetic reminded me of a game called Fury from yeah, I don't know if you remember that game
Oh,
from
yeah.
great game. Great. It's like a bullet hell style game, but
Yeah.
their art style looked very similar. So
Yeah. I love Fury. I know that Sean Capri over Carpool Gaming
he was
loves
the
Fury.
one that made me play. He was like, "You gotta play this," and then I bought it and beat it the same night, and then I messed it. I was like, "Done."
Yeah, yeah, Fury's great. I played it on PS4 when it came to, I think, PlayStation Plus back probably like 5 or 6 years ago. And then I played it on the Nintendo Switch again, but man, that is a gorgeous game. I love that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Let's keep rolling. Next, we got another new trailer for Still Wakes the Deep. This is coming early 2024 and is on Game Pass. This is a walking sim horror style game. I haven't really. This game hasn't clicked with me yet, and that's because I normally like walking sim horror games, but something about this, I don't know if it's like it being set in the middle of the ocean on like an oil rig, like the environment or what, but something hasn't quite clicked with me about this game.
Yeah, I enjoy it. I like the way it looks. I will definitely give it a shot. I'm kind of hoping this is like a PT thing, like a Hideo Kojima horror, like, situation where it's got like a walking sim meets Silent Hill kind of vibe to it. I just want to know what's going on. And I guess that's the whole point of the entire trailer. But there's not really a thing yet where I can say, oh, this is supernatural or this is
Hmm.
some kind of virus that's infected these people on this oil rig. Maybe they've tapped into a specific part of the Earth's core and unleashed some kind of alien thing. I don't know yet, but I'm excited to find out. This is definitely my kind of thing. I just hope it's not too long. Like I could
Yeah.
imagine 8 to 10 hours, maybe even 6 to 8 hours feels like a good point for this. But if it gets too long, walking gets pretty boring.
Yeah, absolutely. And they've only shown you walking. I think in this one they showed you swimming underwater. So it really needs we need something more going on. Like, is there puzzles to solve? What's the gameplay loop here? It can't just be
Yeah,
walking. Because it does look pretty. Like it
very.
looks like a pretty game. Next up, RoboCop Rogue City got a new trailer coming November 2nd. I've never seen RoboCop. I'm not
What?
yeah, it doesn't really appeal to me, just like the whole look of him. I've heard this game is a fun 7 out of 10 or whatever. So if you're into that or you like RoboCop, but probably not for me.
Yeah, I believe these are the same developers that made the most recent Terminator game. I think it's called Terminator Salvation. I could be wrong about that.
Mm,
But yeah, this is kind of what they make here. It's that double A level. I wouldn't even call it double A level. It's like slightly above indie level, well-funded, notable IP game, I guess. But yeah, I've covered this one a couple of times in videos. I've watched some pretty extensive gameplay, and if you're a fan of RoboCop, it's probably going to be the best RoboCop game ever made, but you're also comparing it to things that came out in like the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s. So, take it for what you will, but it looks like a pretty solid time.
Terminator Resistance was
There
the
you go.
game you were looking
I
for.
think Salvation was the most recent movie with old Arnold in it.
Maybe I haven't watched a Terminator film since like two. I feel like.
Let me see.
Um,
Terminator Salvation. Okay, it was a movie. It had Christian Bale in it as John Connor. I'm sorry, what? Okay.
this developer puts out like 5 games a year. By the way,
Really? Who makes
this
it?
is Trayon, Tayon,
Oh, yeah,
Tayon.
yeah, yeah.
I don't even know who this is, but they're like every year they have like 5 games. Can't be good games. But Dungeons of Hinterberg was up next. New trailer showing off the social elements of the game. This is a dungeon crawler with social sim elements. I like the look of this. I liked it when it was revealed. I think the art style is very pretty. I like social elements in games. The gameplay loop of going in exploring the dungeon sounds very appealing to me. Combat still looking a little framey if we're looking at the trailers. I think
Mm.
there's still some work to do. This is coming in 2024 to Game Pass, so hopefully they can work all those kinks out before it comes.
Yeah, this is one that did not appeal to me really, and I was also I had this up on the background kind of while I was working just because it was in the middle of the day, so I was half paying attention to it, but this one and the next one just did not really resonate with me, Spirit of the North 2.
Hmm.
But yeah, I mean, it's out there again. Not everything is going to be for everybody. And I was watching, I think it was kind of funny broke it down and looking at this entire list as we go through it, every 4 games there's kind of like something that might resonate with a specific audience, and you can kind of line that up with like 2, 6, and 8 might resonate with people, 3, 5, and 11 might resonate with other people, so there's a little bit of something for everybody, but the next 2 were not for me, no.
Yeah, Spirit of the North 2 trailer didn't do anything for me. I think this was more just like, hey, we're making a sequel to Spirit of the North, which I've never played. I've seen trailers like you got a cute fox and a bird, cool. But nothing there for me either, to be
Yeah.
honest. The next one I'm really interested in, we should have a question about, which we'll get to. Metal Gear Solid Snake Eater remake pre-alpha trailer. So we got the first in-engine gameplay look at the remake for this Metal Gear Solid game. Very surprised to see it at this Xbox showcase.
Yeah, it was kind of a shocker. I mean, I don't know if this shows that Microsoft has splashed that cash and locked down the marketing rights to it, or if this is just like a hey, can we borrow this trailer for our event kind of thing. But either way, it was super cool to see them coming out swinging with the first real gameplay teaser, I guess, because it is in engine footage. It's not indicative of like how gameplay will
Mhm.
finally look, but it is cool to see Snake shown off at an Xbox event versus him kind of being the poster boy for PlayStation like he was whenever the PlayStation 3 launched and Metal Gear Solid 4 came out, because Snake was pretty much synonymous with PS3 at that point for a lot of people, including myself.
Mhm.
So yeah, I mean, it looks very, very good. Very impressed.
Yeah, it's Unreal Engine 5. They did confirm that. When it popped up, I had to go. I started asking people. I was like, "Did we know this wasn't exclusive?" Because something in the back of my mind, I thought this was a PS5 exclusive for some reason. So seeing it here really shocked me with
Yeah.
having that mindset. I think it looked good visually. Like Snake moving through the water, you saw like the ripples, and then it actually affected like the ground, like mudslides would happen as they would go up. So not much here. It really was just a here's what we're working on, here's how it's coming. Probably 2 years at least away, I would say, for this one still. So we have a question about it though. So Alpaca Tom writes in, he says, do you all think that Metal Gear Solid Delta will deviate from the initial story and its own timeline? Do you even like Metal Gear Solid?
To answer the second part first, I've never played through a full Metal Gear Solid game. It is not my thing. I tried to play the Phantom Pain, and I think that if I went back to play it now, I would probably enjoy it more. But yeah, never played through an entire Metal Gear game. That said, from what I've read about, in the coverage of Metal Gear Solid Delta and just kind of the lead up to it. It seems like they're very focused on staying true to the story that was originally told. So I think it's going to pretty much stick to the same tropes. And I actually made a video on this today, and a lot of people have been calling out the fact that the animations themselves look like they're pulled straight from Metal Gear Solid 3. So it really does seem like it's more of a Resident Evil 2-ish style remake where it really does kind of stay true to what it was and just modernizes it.
Until otherwise stated, I think this is probably going to be a faithful remake. I think they're just doing this one first because chronologically, in like the timeline, this game happens first in the Metal Gear
Yes.
timeline. So, to answer your second question, no, I don't like Metal Gear Solid. I don't like any Kojima game, actually.
Ooh.
Yeah, it just doesn't do it for me. Something about it. I can't do it.
They're weird. They're very weird.
Yes. Captain Logan's talking about the similarities between Metal Gear and Oregon Trail in the chat. What a guy.
What a guy indeed. By the way, I am not a Metal Gear guy. As we've said, established that, never played Metal Gear Solid 3, Delta, probably not going to play it. They're out there. The music in this trailer, dude, it is great. It is like soft rock, yacht rock, jazz, but with like tension. Oh, dude, it's great.
The music in the reveal trailer was good as well. Like they know how to nail the vibe, I think.
Yeah, it's kind of like it's got that same vibe as like the GoldenEye 007, where it's like the it's just a little jam, you're going back and forth a little bit. Yeah, I really enjoy it.
Kev appreciates real Japanese developed games, not these cinematic showpieces. That's right. If it doesn't look like a game from the PS2, I ain't interested.
Dang straight.
Let's keep it rolling. Manor Lords is coming to PC Game Pass April 26th, 2024, and coming soon to consoles and Game Pass. This is a medieval kind of Sims, like you can make some armies. Is it called 4X? Is that what these kind of games are called? I don't know. This game is probably the least appealing one to me of the whole bunch.
Yeah, not really digging it for myself either, but yeah, features in-depth city building, large-scale tactical battles, and complex economic and social simulations. So once again, you're kind of living life, it sounds like, on a global economic scale. Or yeah, I think I'm good. I'm gonna pass on that. Much like Age of Empires, have fun.
In the medieval times, probably the worst time to live life.
Yeah, not great, no.
I know you like this next one though, Sam. The Finals trailer, a PvP. It's an extraction shooter, right? Like it's a PvP game, but you're trying to steal stuff, is what I got from the trailer. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, pretty much. So it's a 3v3v3, and you could call it an extraction shooter, but basically you're going after a payload. And the whole premise of it is that these three teams are in this game show. And so it's a virtual simulation, and these maps are built in arenas, and it's made by former Battlefield developers, led by Patrick Soderlund from DICE, who's also still at EA, by the way. He co-founded DICE, still works at EA, also has co-founded this other thing.
Just hanging out, weekend project.
Dude's killing it. I mean, when does he sleep? I was thinking about that this morning. But the whole point is that it's back to what Battlefield used to be about, where you can totally level the entire map and just do whatever you need to do to win. And I'm pumped. Open beta runs now through November 5th. I am very excited about this, but I think this is the first time we'd ever seen gameplay on this scale. There's been a couple of betas. I know that Season Gaming did an awesome preview a couple of months back on it that I was recapping on earlier in the week. But yeah, very impressed with the finals. I actually have it downloading right now on the other side of the wall. So I'm going to go play that after this to check it out for myself.
Dope, man. Yeah, it looked very chaotic. They were like, the coolest part of this trailer for me was when they saw the team was above them, like some thermal, and then like put some explosives and dropped them down and then lit them all on fire.
Yeah, it looks really solid. I hope it doesn't focus too much on the team element of it, because as somebody who plays solo most of the time, I'm hoping it can be kind of like Battlefield, where squads are just kind of passive and you can do whatever you want. In a 3v3v3 scenario, probably going to have to rely on your squad. Do I need a mic on? Do I need a mic off? I'll find out. But yeah, really, really impressed with this one. And it is complete chaos. And I love that.
Looking forward to hearing about it next show. And again, I don't know about next week. I'll be in Rome. Ark Survival Ascended. This is the remake of the original Ark, not Ark 2 with Vin Diesel. Apparently this is coming soon.
It is, yes. It was very funny when you tuned into the partner preview in the chat. The entire thing was just ASA, like it was just a wall of Ark Survival Ascended people, and I think they were memeing on it. I could not tell. I assume they probably were, but I could not believe how many people were talking about this. It was trending on Twitter the morning after the Xbox partner preview, and I'm like, it once again, are you guys memeing on it or what's going on with this? But it looks very, very popular.
This is one of those games where it's kind of like Roblox, where it's super popular, and I don't know a single human being that's ever played it.
Yeah. I mean, I know people that played Ark back in like 2012 or 2013, but I have not known anybody to play Ark in the last 5 to 10 years.
And they closed the show out with an Alan Wake 2 trailer. Looked amazing. We're going to talk about Alan Wake in a news story or two, but I don't really have anything more to say on this. I kind of wish they didn't show it. I didn't need it.
Yeah.
Reaffirmed my opinion that the game's going to be awesome.
Yeah, I think it was very interesting to see the gameplay at the end. I didn't expect to see not necessarily that depth of gameplay, but I don't know if I expected to see that long of a string of combat without interruption. And it was on one hand cool to see, on the other hand, like you said, did I really need to see that? Probably kind of ruin that jump scare a little bit at whatever point that is in the story, but it was probably worth it to show what the game looks like. And also for Resident Evil fans, I mean, I looked at that and I was like, oh, so they're going for like a real survival horror Resident Evil kind of vibe.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that probably was thrown in to convince those people.
Yeah, it's gonna be scary. I'm Resident Evil's not my jam, so but I like the first one, so we're going in, we're trying it. But
Do it. Do it
we'll
up.
talk about Alan Wake more soon. But let's talk about story number 2. Quarter 1 of fiscal year 2024, Microsoft has released their financials. Specifically, we're going to focus on the Xbox portion. Xbox released their financial report for the first quarter, which includes July through September 2023, because companies are weird with their fiscal years like that. Gaming revenue grew 9%. Xbox content and services revenue grew 13%, driven by growth in first-party content and Xbox Game Pass. Xbox hardware revenue, however, declined 7%. Satya Nadella also stated that on the Microsoft's earnings call that Starfield launch generated the highest single-day additions of Game Pass subscribers in the history of the service. And they're also forecasting next year with the addition of, or next quarter with the addition of ABK, they're projected to grow gaming revenue by 40% or more and content services by 50% or more, which is crazy. So I just threw a bunch of numbers at you, Sam, but the big thing I want to focus on here is that the content and service revenue grew 13%. Hardware, however, is down. This does include the Starfield launch, like he says, which boosted Game Pass. Why isn't it selling consoles, though?
I don't know. Quite honestly, I do not understand that equation because I can't imagine it's cloud gaming, because not a lot of people are probably going to go that route to play their games. I know why it was boosted by, or Game Pass was boosted by Starfield. It's because of the PC side. So if you are a PC player, you want to check out the newest Bethesda game, you can just download the Xbox launcher and play it through Game Pass via PC. So that explains that. But I don't understand why Xbox hardware revenue has declined in a season that traditionally, I mean, it really should be going up. Like every indicator should tell you that these things are going to be selling incredibly well. And I don't know if it's just people holding off for potential holiday sales. Maybe they're still holding on to the Xbox One a little bit because of games like Assassin's Creed Mirage might be kind of in that in between. But yeah, I mean, it just doesn't make sense why hardware is down, but every other metric totally offsets the fact that hardware is down. And plus, Xbox isn't really focusing on hardware. They don't care what you play on or where you play. It's just about you playing in the Xbox ecosystem.
That is a great point, which leads me into Sam Heaney over on No Limits. He wrote in because he found this very interesting. He said, with the fiscal year 24 report showing increase in software sales, but a decrease in hardware, do you ever envision a future where Microsoft/Xbox could potentially shift into solely publishing/development as a third-party powerhouse? Which is why I kind of labeled this as Xbox moving away from consoles down below on our little thing here, our little bar here, because when I'm looking at these numbers, we know Starfield really boosted the Game Pass sales, as Satya and Nadella was saying. We see the increase in revenue for not only Game Pass, but first party and just selling well. Like Game Pass had some really good months. August, we got like things like Sea of Stars in there. September, obviously Starfield, Lies of P. Like those months really were awesome. And if these types of things aren't selling your hardware, I'm not really sure what will.
Yeah, no, I think that it's an interesting idea to think about an Xbox without an Xbox is effectively what we're talking about. And I don't think they'll ever get away from it because at this point in the game, having those consoles on store shelves, and that's still how people are getting their games for the most
Hmm.
part. Like there are PC gamers that are spending a lot more time building PCs and buying pre-builts and things like that. Like that segment is growing, but for normal people, they'll go out and buy a PS5, Xbox Series X, Series S, whatever. And so having that box there, that's your delivery system when people don't have a PC or when they don't want to play via cloud, because cloud still has that kind of like, oh, you're playing through the cloud, going to look bad, going to have pixelation, stuff like that. So I can't imagine them getting away from it anytime soon. And if anything, we're talking about one quarter. I know that we've talked earlier in the year about how hardware revenue is up, where they'll have spikes in sales and things like that. I'm sure the holiday season, this down
Hmm.
7% is going to make comparatively the next season look even better because people are going to be going out buying Series X's, buying Series S's, because kids around the world have been waiting for Christmas or whatever holiday they celebrate to say, hey, mom, I want to play Starfield. I want to play Forza Motorsport. I want to play all these new games. Alan Wake 2, they're on Xbox. So, yeah, I think it's a temporary decline more than anything.
I'll be super interested to see next quarter's specifically hardware, but also the Game Pass numbers, because Xbox is launching that Series S and 3 month of Game Pass bundle soon.
Yes.
So if that comes out for the holiday season, it's also, I think it's only like it's either the same price as the current Series S or around the same price.
Yeah.
So when you look at that value proposition, they're gonna be like, well, I can get 3 months of Game Pass. They get in no upfront cost to them. They get their console, and then they can see things like Starfield. They're gonna keep subscribing. So I expect these numbers to go up, not only in terms of console sales for the holiday, but for the content and services. I think that number is going to increase next quarter as well, which will be super interesting. Like maybe this is just Starfield came out too late and the consoles weren't there, like not everyone could just drop money in September for the consoles. I think the next few months will be interesting to see. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe people just don't care about playing on the console. Like David Hotray in the chat, he says, I have a Series X and a PC and I never play on my Series X anymore. Maybe PC is just where the growth is going to come from, and the console base is kind of stagnated for now.
Yeah, maybe. I think that to confirm, yes, the holiday Series S starter bundle is $299, so it's the same price as the regular Series
It's
S.
a steal.
Yeah, and you get the Game Pass bundled in with that. But beyond that, I think that looking at the grand scheme of things, the question is internally at Microsoft, what do they value the most? Like, of course, they're going to say your hardware sales because that is
Everyone,
still,
we
yeah,
love you all.
yeah, like they're gonna say everything is a really important number, but if you have Game Pass continuing to generate revenue, that's one thing. But if you have people that sign up for Game Pass or redeem that 3 month trial and then they just forget about it and never use it,
Hmm.
you're still generating revenue. But what's your monthly active user look like? I mean, do you have people playing games every week? Do you have people playing games every day? Or do you have somebody that got a Series S and they redeem their Game Pass thing and you've just been taking $15 every month for the past 2 years? Like it's all generating revenue, but what do they care the most about? I don't really know.
I was just thinking about, because Xbox Live transitioned to Xbox Game Pass Core in September as well.
It's true.
So did they? That probably wouldn't change the numbers though, because that probably got wrapped into the services already. So I doubt that really affected anything. But
Yeah.
it would. I do want to see Game Pass numbers soon. It's interesting how they've gone pretty quiet about their Game Pass. Like it's got to be like 30 million right now. Like at this
Yeah.
point.
I think at this point, and again, I'm just going off of a gut feeling. They're probably plateauing a little bit and I think we heard reports about that where they've hit a certain threshold of people that are willing to go out and buy Game Pass. And beyond having the big releases like Starfield or Forza or whatever, they're not going to be pushing much beyond that unless they continue bringing big third party stuff into the mix, or potentially like we might see a spike like this when Call of Duty games get thrown in next year. Like that'll be big.
Well, that's why they're predicting for the next they're predicting next quarter for gaming revenue to grow in the mid 40% and content services mid 50%. So they really think that Activision Blizzard deal is going to have a significant impact on these types of things. People are going to sign up for Game Pass for Call of Duty. People are going to start buying, like we're going to transition over. Like they're already predicting some big swings here.
I think beyond that, I think that that's thinking a little bit too optimistically. I think that what they're projecting is once they bake those numbers into the fold, like you're not
Like
talking about,
Activision's numbers.
yeah,
Gotcha. That
like
makes more. Yep.
you're not talking about people going out and subscribing to Game Pass for Call of Duty. You're saying we bought your revenue and your revenue is now ours.
That makes way more sense than me looking at these numbers. I was like, they're not even putting the games in yet. Why would they predict these giants?
Yeah.
Like, I understand next year.
Yeah, they're just combining balance sheets, and now this is just Call of Duty revenue is now going to be Xbox revenue.
That makes way more sense than what I was thinking.
There you go.
Yeah, for sure. Let's keep on rolling here, though. Alan Wake 2 reviews are out. They dropped this morning at 9 a.m. Eastern. The sequel fans have waited 13 years for. Launches tonight at midnight Eastern time, depending on where you are around the world. It'll be your time zone. But the embargo dropped this morning. Safe to say, we got another Game of the Year contender on our hands, folks, sitting currently at a 91 on OpenCritic. Alan Wake 2 reviews are nothing but glowing. I cannot wait, Sam. As I said, I was in some sort of fever dream but like refreshing it. I was like, what's it dropping? It dropped at a 93. It's come down a little bit since then. So I was super hyped up. But I listened to multiple reviews. I listened to Kind of Funny's review. I listened to a friend of the show over at the Trophy Room, Kyle Stevenson's hands-on impressions with it. So I'm really hyped up about this. The fact that people are talking about how impressive graphically the game is, even on consoles. Like I know Digital Foundry did their PS5 and said like this game is absolutely stunning. It seems like the story is also top of the game for Remedy. So I don't know what else to say, man. I am super excited.
Yeah, very. I think currently it's sitting in 89. So that's
it dropped a little more.
Yeah, it dropped a couple more points, but still 89, 90, 91. It's all the same within throwing distance. So yeah, I mean, I'm excited to dig into Alan Wake 2. We were talking earlier in the show. I want to get back, play remastered before I go back to Alan Wake 2, just to get fresh on how things end. In a perfect world, I'd play Control, but not going to play Control between now and Alan Wake 2, unless I really get an itch. I have both of these games, by the way. I've bought them. They're here. I just haven't played them. But yeah, so I'm excited to check out Alan Wake 2. I don't know if I expected it to be as high as it is. I thought maybe like 78, 80. I thought that's kind of
wow. You were shooting a little. I was thinking mid like 83, 85 range.
Yeah. I mean, I could be convinced that way too. I think that Alan Wake 2, how often do you see a game that has a 13-year gap between its predecessor and it actually delivers? I mean, that's very impressive. And so I think that's kind of what I was basing mine off of, is how can it possibly live up to the hype? And lo and behold, I mean, I guess I should have known based on the quality of Control, but Remedy lived up to the hype. So yeah, I'm super happy for fans that have been waiting all these years. Shout out to Ferris Wheel Pro on Twitter, Joey Ferris over at Game Explain, or Game Explain? Yeah, Game Explain. He's been all over Alan Wake. He's been a big Alan Wake guy since I've known him. And yeah, this is his dream come true. He played this in 2010. The man now has a family and a child. So like that's how most people are living their lives these days. So shout out to Joey.
Life comes at you fast. Alan Wake comes at you slow.
It does. It does.
Control is sitting at an 83 on OpenCritic. So this is quite a bit higher than Control. And I thought Control was really good. I know the first Alan Wake's kind of like a cult game, but
yeah,
I don't know. First of all, I wish it wasn't a global release, because I was ready to take a trip to New Zealand on my Xbox and play this early because I was just so excited for it. But the fact that people were talking about there's like a detective mode in this where you like actually gather the clues and you go to like a mine palace, and there's just stuff in here that I couldn't have even imagined Remedy putting in the game after playing the first one. And it just seems like maybe if they had made this sooner, they wouldn't have been able to do everything they wanted to do. So maybe it's
Yeah.
good they waited so long. I don't know. I'm really looking forward to it, and that's kind of where I'm ending with it. I will tell you more about it next week when I've played it. Can't wait.
Yeah, I was listening to Kind of Funny earlier today, and they were, I think it was Blessing that was talking about how there have been interviews with Sam Lake where he's talked about how there have been canceled versions of Alan Wake where the game has been tried multiple different times, but this is
Mm,
the one that they ended on. And he's so thankful that this is the one they finally put out because had the game come out in, let's say, original 2010, sequel in 2012, I mean, that's 10 years of graphical advancement that have been able to go into Alan Wake 2. That is a huge benefit when you're trying to compete with these big games because if Alan Wake 2 had come out and just been Alan Wake with a fresh coat of paint on it, who would have really, really cared at that point? Because it was
mhm.
still cult back then. So, yeah, glad to see this one come out in the state that it's in.
Speaking of competing with games, Terabo writes in for the question. He says, with so many games out this year that are top quality, which games do you think could have held off to 2024 to get better sales/market recognition? You could, of course, argue all the games are different and on different systems like Starfield, Spider-Man, so they don't affect each other. But what are you thinking, Sam? Are there any that could have waited?
Yeah, I'm Googling just to like refresh myself on the games that have come out this year, and they're all like huge bangers, but the bangers are the ones getting called out. I mean, I really think that all of them have landed pretty well. They've all been pretty scattered throughout the year. I think the games that I think are suffering, I don't want to say Alan Wake 2 is suffering, but I think that Alan Wake 2 would have more of a spotlight on it if it was coming out in spring. But I get the point of holiday,
Mhm.
Halloween, creepiness. Like, I get why they did it when they did it. But I mean, games like we talked about it earlier in the show, we've talked about it a lot, but Immortals of Avium.
That's the first thing that came to my mind.
Yeah, like games like that are at that double A tier, especially they came out this summer. Um, I was almost going to say Forspoken on the PlayStation side, but nothing could have saved that. So, but games that are on that double A level tier, those are the ones that need to get pushed out. And then I'm sure you're thinking Sonic. I know you're thinking Sonic.
Yes, Sonic
Yeah,
for sure. Immortals of Avium was the one that came to my head. Sonic for sure could have waited. There was no need to send my boy out to die. I don't know how Sega looks at Mario and Spider-Man and thinks, yeah, we'll drop it a few days before that.
yeah, like that kind of stuff
$60.
that's mind boggling to me. Also, Kevin, did you know the PSVR 2 came out this year?
Yes, I did know that.
That came out in the year of our Lord 2023. I swear that thing's 5 years old. I swear. I don't even know, man. This has been the craziest year of my
It's,
life.
no, yeah, it came out in like February or
Yeah.
something, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just thinking about like Horizon Call of the Mountain and like, would a delay have fixed that? Nah, not really, because the thing hit and then died. But yeah,
Yeah, Ghostly March, Immortals of Avium, by all accounts, sold less than 100,000 copies,
that's tough.
which doesn't surprise me because they, laid off like half the studio, and I don't know if there's been like a bigger commercial flop recently than Immortals of Avium, like for the amount of money, time, and then just no one bought it, no one did anything.
My friend, let me tell you about a little game called the Callisto Protocol.
I'm, here's the thing though. Callisto Protocol sold like 3 million copies.
It did. It did.
So it's sold infinitely better than Immortals of Avium. The
It did.
problem with Callisto was they were like, we're going to give you $170 million budget.
Yeah, yeah,
Makes no
yeah.
sense.
It just gobbled up so much cash. I think another game that just came to mind, the Lord of the Rings game that came out this, or Lord of the Moria, Mines of Moria. We were talking about
I
this in the
don't even
Discord.
know what that game
Yeah,
is.
let's see, Lords of the Rings, Mines of Moria. It came out this week. Oh, Return to Moria is what it's called.
I
The Lord
haven't
of the
heard.
Rings Return to Moria, and I don't even know what kind of game it is. There was zero marketing for this, and it launched this week. And this is I don't want to. Is it the same people that made the Gollum game? I don't think
No, it
so.
can't be.
Let's see. Hold on. I got to find out. It's a survival game developed by Free Range Games and published by North Beach Games on October 24th, 2023. This is a Lord of the Rings game you have never heard of. There has been
No.
zero marketing. So, to answer the question, this is one that should have been kicked to like February or March because why would you put this out? I mean, Sonic is going to eat this thing, like that's what we're talking about. So, there's plenty of examples when you dig deeper.
Skull Island: Rise of Kong is not an exit. There's no hope for that game.
Skull Island: Rise of Kong should have been delayed and then just like
Canceled.
pull a Beyond Good and Evil 2 and just throw that out there and just let it rot. You know, they were given 1 year to make
1
that.
year. Yep.
1 year.
I've been keeping up because Game Mill publishes Nickelodeon All Star Brawl, and I'm waiting for the second one. And the fact that those devs were like, we got 1 year to make this game, and Nick All Star Brawl 2 is coming out 2 years after the first one. I was like, is this one going to be rough? Or like, they seem to care a little more about Brawl and the kart racer games, but everything else they publish is absolute dog crap.
Yeah, I don't know how you, number one, why a King Kong game in 2023? There's like, I mean, I guess there's the Godzilla movies and Kong has played some kind of role in those, but it's not like you think about these IP on a regular basis in 2023. I just don't get why we needed this.
No, it's funny to look at, but no,
is.
I can't. And I think David Hotright in the chat says the people that made Gollum are out of business. Like they don't make games anymore. They stopped.
It's probably for the best.
Yeah. Final news story of the day. Xbox is doing some reorganization. This comes via Tom Warren at The Verge. Microsoft is reorganizing its Xbox gaming and marketing leadership after the acquisition of Activision Blizzard. Matt Booty is being promoted from Xbox Game Studios, head of Xbox Game Studios, to president of game content and studios. With this new role, he will now oversee ZeniMax and Bethesda, as well as all first-party Xbox studios. Jamie Leader, president and CEO of ZeniMax, will now answer to Matt Booty as they continue to operate as a limited integrated entity. Sarah Bond is also getting a promotion from corporate vice president to Xbox president and will now oversee all Xbox platform and hardware work. I think this is great. Great, Sam.
Yeah, I mean, it's good. I think that this comes at a time when it was convenient, and I'm sure it was probably all planned and it was all aligned, but you integrate Bobby Kotick for a couple of months. You put him up on the chain. He's heading up Activision Blizzard. You figure out how these things are going to all bake together. And then you have Pete Hines retiring. And so you have the organization around like, how does this all work? Who's liaising with who and how are we going to make this thing work? And so this helps answer the questions, not only internally, but also for us externally to know that things like ZeniMax, still a limited integrated entity where they're still kind of operating independently. But yeah, I mean, I think it's good. I think that it's cool seeing Sarah Bond give more of the spotlight, kicked up to Xbox president, overseeing hardware and future hardware as well. So she'll be really spearheading things. And I really think this kind of proves that once Phil retires and once Phil leaves, it'll either be Matt Booty or Sarah Bond. It'll be one of the two, whether it's the guy over games or the guy or the woman over Xbox hardware. I'm thinking it's going to be Sarah Bond, like we've been saying. She's just such a public face of the company, and she's been cranking up recently her Instagram threads, Twitter. Like, it seems like they were like, hey, Sarah, make yourself a social entity within the gaming space and try to like build up your reputation. That's the way that I see it. And she's been doing really well with it. You can tell that she's just a good person.
It almost seems like they caught on to the fact that the community really likes Sarah. Like every time there's always a positive image whenever she comes on. Like people get excited to see her. They're happy. They feel, I don't know, like she has a very good positive association. Meanwhile, Matt Booty. All right, let's talk about Matt Booty for a bit, because there's some people surprised he got a promotion here. And initially I was a little surprised too, because I'm like, has Matt Booty really done enough with the Xbox Game Studios? Like, he's been managing the first party for 5 years now, I think. Has he done enough in that time to get a promotion like this? And for me, it's up in the air, because I'm sitting here looking at, like, we've had quite a few stumbles over the last few years under his watch, right? Like, things like Redfall should have been caught. And I think this integration with Bethesda is to make sure that doesn't happen in the future. Great move. That is a positive. But things like what happened at 343 over there with like Bonnie Ross and like the way Halo Infinite came out and didn't have content. I know some things, Undead Labs had some issues, but like there's just been the initiative, I think, is the biggest problem under Matt Booty's watch, where that studio has basically lost everyone that came there. It's now like Crystal Dynamics is kind of running the show. So Is that enough of a hit for Matt to kind of stay where he is? Apparently not. Apparently it's good enough. Like they think he's been doing a good enough job to promote him because now he's going to have even more work to do.
Yeah, I mean, it's a question worth asking. I think that the question is he managing it from an input level or is he a project manager? I think that that's one of the questions of like, are people doing whatever they want and the studios kind of have their autonomy and he's just making sure their vision gets to the finish line at an appropriate time? Or is he the one that's coming in and it's like, hey, this project is not going to sell. Stop doing that. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I would assume it's probably the latter. And if so, yes, he has not been effective in doing that from the outsider's perspective looking in.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
under Phil, I mean, if he sees the guy doing a good job and he's aligning with what Phil expects from the first party and he thinks that he's doing a good job, keep him in. You know, we'll see what another. It's kind of like football. We'll see what this season brings. You know, can we bring it home this year? I don't know. We'll find out. But you can see the ship kind of being righted right now. I mean, under the Xbox first party banner, a lot of good stuff is coming. A lot of that through acquisitions, but a lot of good stuff is coming. So, yeah, we'll see what he's able to put out.
Yeah. I think I'm more interested in that little. Do you see the organization chart they put out where it's
Yeah.
like Phil at the top? Yeah. Bobby Kotick obviously is on there as head of Activision for the next couple of months. I'm really interested to see who replaces him. Like, I think some people were being like, oh, well, Sarah can do it. Sarah's obviously not going to do it now. She's president of Xbox. So do they promote someone that we don't really like, isn't on that chart already, is lower down? Does someone move roles? Do they bring in someone outside? All options are on the table, I think, but it's really interesting that they did this now as opposed to just like waiting.
Yeah, it'll be very interesting to see who they throw in there. And I think that will be a reflection of where they want to take the Activision Blizzard IP as an entity within Xbox. Because ultimately, I think it's up to Phil to appoint whoever he wants to that position. Seems like it makes sense. Could be a vote kind of thing amongst the team or something like that. But I think that if there's a Call of Duty leader that is elevated and put in that role that shows that, hey, they're going to be doubling down on Call of Duty. If it is a businessman, politician kind of person that might be on Capitol Hill for some kind of hearing or something, then it shows that it's probably going to be somebody to slide into Kotick's shoes and figure out how to fill that. But yeah, I joked on Twitter with Luke Lore, Phil Harrison. He's getting it.
Oh
He's going from Stadia straight over to Activision Blizzard with an Xbox. I guarantee it.
I mean, he fails upward. That's like his career trajectory. I was thinking more like Mike Ybarra or like Rod Ferguson.
Oh, I'm kidding.
You know?
I'm kidding.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying, like, maybe we can get one of those two in there instead. You know,
hopefully, yeah.
But that's all we have for the news this week, Sam. We have one more listener question that we haven't got to. So Taylor writes in, what's the next Xbox console wrap we need, and why is it a red Gears of War one?
I can't even argue with that, honestly. Yeah, I think that a Gears of War one would be good. I would this would totally negate the value of the limited Halo Infinite Xbox Series X, but that Halo wrap, oh, dude, I would love that. I would buy one of those in a heartbeat.
Imagine being like, I bought this limited edition console, and then they're like $39.99. Everyone can have
that. I mean, my friend has one. He said he'll sell it to me when he comes to sell his Xbox. I will gladly buy that because he's one of the like Netflix Xbox people, where he just watches Netflix on it. So I know it's not been put through the ringer in any kind of capacity. He lives alone in an apartment, like it is safe. So yeah, I will buy one of those eventually. But yeah, I would love to have a wrap like that. What about you?
Hellblade is the next one I want for next year, but Fable, I think a Fable one could be pretty cool.
Cool.
Gears, I think, should happen, and I'd be surprised. Well, I don't know, because we talked about the digital Series X coming, and maybe the wraps will be obsolete. But David Hutright, I would play the heck out of a new Gears. Where is Gears? Inject it into my veins. They're working on it. Gears 6 is coming.
Yeah, it's coming. It's coming. I would love to, but in all seriousness, just make some solid colors. Like I would love to buy a white wrap.
I just want white, just pure white.
Yeah, just nothing special about it. No Starfield lower back tattoo. Like I just want your white wrap. That's all I need. Yeah.
I've said this for years. White consoles just look better.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that especially now, like in my living room, I've got the TV mounted on the wall. I've got my cables managed all in a little pipe thing going down to a nice white TV stand. And then I have this giant black obelisk that's just there. And like,
Mm.
don't get me wrong, it's a pretty console. I'm fine with it being there, but white would make it look so much better.
So much better. I love my white PlayStation. I would want that white Switch if it wasn't more like just give us more colors, all right,
Yeah.
for all consoles. It's part of the reason I love the ROG Ally. It's white. It just
Yeah.
looks so
Yeah.
good. But
I think it would be sick to have the get the wraps to match the controller colors, like the giant vibrant neon green. Get the controller to match the skin. Get the matching themes. Would love that.
mm, Ghost in March, my Spider-Man PS5 begs to differ.
Ah,
It does look nice. I saw it in person.
yeah, it's pretty sick. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's all we got for this week, guys. Thanks for everyone hanging out in the chat again. I will keep up to date with our socials at Save Game Media over on Twitter, or join the Discord to stay up to date, because I don't know if there's going to be a show next week. I will talk to Sam behind the scenes because I'll be going to Extra Life, and we have a 25-hour stream there, maybe some additional stuff going on. So depending on how heavy the Xbox news is next week, we'll see. But if there isn't a stream next week, just come hang out with us, play some games, raise money for children. That's all I'm asking for you. But Sam, apart from that, where can people find you?
You can find me, JamPackSam, everywhere there is content: Threads, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. Yeah, if I'm out there and it's a platform, you can find me there. I'm making stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can find me over on X at the Muffin Mon. It's a 1-7 and 7A. And like I said, follow us, raise money for charity, help us reach our goals. I'll give you a Series S if you help us get to that stretch goal. But even if you don't, any money raised is more than appreciated. Until next time, we'll see you though.